Hello and welcome. Today we are going to make a winter bonnet with little braids inspired by these Anna Sui braid beanies. So the yarn I'm going to use is mohair, really fine but doubled up. And then this is my scrap yarn, so I'm going to have this big bunch and then a bunch of these like smaller ones, but you're not gonna have to deal with that. And then I'm using an 8mm hook, a small tapestry needle, sewing scissors, and these like clear little elastics that I'm gonna use to hold the braid together. So the pattern I'm gonna use for the bonnet part is on Ravelry by Loopy Studio. I'll link it in the description. Her Instagram is also the same name and it's really cool, so you should check it out. But anyway, it's pretty similar to the pattern except I cut a few corners. So what I'm gonna do is make a magic circle to start. Now to make a magic circle, I just wrap the yarn around my hand. So it's kind of like an X, and then I go under, over, grab it, and then hold it there. And then I do a chain one to keep it in place, but the chain one doesn't count as one of the stitches. So then I'm gonna go into the circle and make 4 single crochets. I mean, not 4, 12 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, and then just keep going until you have 12. And remember, the very first chain one that we made didn't count, so this is what the 3 should look like. 12. So tighten the magic circle until it's just the 12 stitches, and then we are going to slip stitch into the first of the 12 like that. And then we are going to chain 6. So the first 3 are acting like a double crochet. The next 3 are just a chain 3. And then we're going to double crochet back into the same stitch that we just worked out of. And from here, we're going to chain 4. And we are going to double crochet, skipping 2 stitches. So there's 1, 2, and then we're going into the 3rd, which it's kind of hard to see, but I'm kind of just gonna wing it. So let me see, here would be 1, and then 2, and then 3, I think is gonna be right here. So to double crochet, if you don't know, you're just gonna yarn over and then find the stitch that you're working into. And then yarn over, pull through. So you're gonna end up with 3 loops on your hook, and then yarn over, pull through 2 of them, yarn over, pull through the remaining 2. And then we're gonna chain 3. And double crochet back into the same stitch. Okay. So far, this is what we have. So in the pattern, she calls these like little triangles teardrops, and then this one, the chain 4, is a bridge. So I'm gonna use the same terminology, and we're basically gonna do that 2 more times so that we have the full square. But all in all, it might just give you more perspective. So we have 4 teardrops and then 4 bridges, which is what we want. It kind of looks like a flower, but if you pull it out, it's more of a square. And so we're gonna be working in a shell stitch or a shell pattern, I guess. So basically in each of these teardrops, we're gonna do 7 double crochets, and then we're gonna do a single crochet into each of the bridge gaps. So I'll do the first one, and then we can all take it from there and meet up. So I'm gonna do chain 3, and that's gonna count as the first of the 7 double crochets in here. So 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, pull out some yarn, and then into this bridge area, I'm gonna do a single crochet underneath it. So I'm not going into any of the individual stitches of the chain. I'm just gonna go under it completely. And then I'm just going to yarn over and do 7 double crochets into the next teardrop. Four, five, 6, and 7. Okay. So, and then I'll just do the single crochet in here. And my hair is, okay, so this is what it should look like when you have 2 done so far. It's kind of like Mickey Mouse ears. And then we're just gonna do 7 double crochets in this teardrop, 1 single crochet here, and then 7 double crochets, 1 single crochet, and then we'll meet back up. So this is what we have. I did the single crochet into the chain 4 bridge, and then I know it's a little different in the pattern, but since we did the 7 in the first teardrop, I'm just going to do a slip stitch into the 3rd or 2nd, whatever stitches right here. I'm just gonna do a single crochet into it, and that's effectively the top of the first double crochet. So I'm gonna slip stitch there, and then we want to get to the very corner of the piece, or the top of this cluster. So I'm going to slip stitch into each of these until I get here, which is the 4th of the 7 that make up the shell cluster. So I'm just gonna slip stitch my way there. And there should be 3 on each side. So 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, and we're in the 4th. And so I'm gonna do a chain 6, which is gonna be the start of the teardrop that is gonna be on top of this cluster. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then gonna double crochet back into the same stitch. So we have our first little teardrop of this row. And then we are going to do a chain 4. So chain 4, and then we're gonna do a double crochet underneath the single crochet that we did. So it's not going into the stitch, it's going pretty much into the same space that that single crochet went into. So yarn over, and then just put the hook into the space for a double crochet. And then chain 3, because we're gonna do another teardrop here, and double crochet back into the same. And so now we are going to chain 4. And double crochet into the 4th stitch of the shell. So basically the very top center stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, get it in there. Double crochet. Chain 3. And double crochet back into the same stitch. So far, this is what we have. We have 3 teardrops so far. So it's 1, 2, 3. And then these little bridge spaces. So we're gonna keep going like that. I'll show you another one in the bridge, and then we'll just meet up at the end. Excuse my yarn. So chain 4. Gonna double crochet into the bridge space. Chain 3, double crochet back into the bridge space. The hair is getting caught on this yarn. Okay. Chain 4. Jeez, Louise. Okay. That was 1, 2, 3, 4. Double crochet into the 3rd or 4th. So 1, 2, 3, 4. One, 2, 3. Back into the same, and then I'll see you when we're done with this round. Okay, so at the end of the row, this is what it should look like. So we have the 4 teardrops at the corner, and then there's one also in the center, and they're all connected by chain 4 bridges. So now I'm just gonna chain 4 to connect the last teardrop to the first one that we made. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to slip stitch into the 3rd stitch on the chain 6 that I made. So slip stitch to close the round. Okay, there we go. So here we are, and then we are going to go in kind of like what we did with this round with the 7 double crochets that make the shell pattern. So I'm going to slip stitch into the teardrop so that we're working in it, and then I'm going to chain 3. And that's going to be my first of the 7 double crochets. And then I'm just going to do 6 more double crochets in this teardrop. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. Okay, one more. And then we are going to do a single crochet into the bridge like last time, and then go straight into 7 double crochets into the next teardrop. 7, and then single crochet into here. So that is what it's looking like so far, and we're just going to keep doing 7 double crochets, chain 1 or single crochet, 7 double crochets, single crochet all the way around. Okay, so here's what we have, and I just did the single crochet in the chain 4 bridge, so I'm going to do a slip stitch into this 3rd stitch of the chain 3 that I made for the first, that's basically the first double crochet of the shell cluster. So let me just get in there and slip stitch it shut to finish off the round. And so this for me, I think is going to be big enough to be like the flat part of the bonnet basically, and then the rest is going to start, I'm going to start making it curve in, just because anything bigger I think will be too big on my head. So if you want yours to increase again and do another increase round, maybe you used like a smaller hook or something, then for the next round just go ahead and do what we've been doing, which is going to be the teardrops on top of each cluster, and then also another teardrop in the middle, and that's the increase round. What I'm gonna do is not an increase round, so I'm gonna keep doing the teardrops on top of the clusters, but I'm not gonna do the ones in between. So oh, and also because I want it to be a bonnet and not a beanie, so starting now, I'm also not gonna close the rounds all the way. I'm just gonna do it from here to here. So leave this cluster as is. So I'm gonna slip stitch into these hairs. I'm gonna slip stitch until I get to the top of this cluster, which would be the 4th double crochet stitch. So I'm in the first, three, and then let me see. I feel like I'm in the center now, so yeah, this one would be the middle. Okay, so I'm at the top of this cluster, and now I'm just gonna do the chain 6. And double crochet back into the same stitch. And then we are going to chain 4. And like I said, if you are gonna keep increasing, do the double crochet here again. If not, then if not, then do a double crochet into the top of the next cluster. So in that 4th double crochet stitch of the shell. And so yeah, now the bridge just goes straight across and it doesn't kind of dip into the valley. And then chain 3, double crochet back into that same stitch, and repeat chain 4, and set up your teardrop in the next cluster, double crochet into the 4th stitch, and then 1, 2, 3, double crochet back into that same stitch. So this is what it's gonna look like. And I will meet back up with you at the end when I reach here. So remember, not closing it all the way anymore. Okay, so I'm almost at the end of the row. I did my chain 4 and I'm gonna do my last teardrop. So I'm gonna double crochet into the 4th stitch. And then the pattern says for this final teardrop to just do a chain 1 between the double crochets. So that's what I'm gonna do. And then I am going to chain 3. And turn the work. And so now we're not working in the round anymore, we're turning the work each time. And so in this teardrop, I'm just gonna do 3. Okay, so we have the 3 double crochets, and then we're gonna single crochet into the bridge, and then go back to the 7 double crochets in each teardrop. So we are back at the end of the row. This is what it should look like, and this last teardrop only had 4 double crochets in it, so that's where we are now. And then we are gonna go back and make a teardrop at the top of each cluster, except for this one, we're gonna make it here at the corner, which works fine because there's only 4 double crochets anyway, so we're kind of in the middle anyway. And I wanted to make this one smaller because we're not gonna put the full 7 double crochets in it. So instead of chaining up 6, I'm just gonna chain up 4 and then do a double crochet back into the same stitch. Okay, so here we have a teardrop at the very corner, and then we're gonna go in and do another one at the top of each of the clusters like we did before. Instead of doing a chain 4 to connect them though, I'm gonna start doing chain 3 just because I want the hat or the bonnet to start curving in a little bit more. So 1, 2, 3, and then from here I'm gonna double crochet into the 4th stitch of the cluster at the very top, and then double crochet. And then again, chain 3 and double crochet back into the same stitch like normal, how we do the teardrops. And then again, just double crochet chain 3 instead of 4 now. And go into the next one with a double crochet, make the teardrop, and repeat until you get to the very end, which would be over here, and then we'll do this one together. Okay, so we just finished the second to last teardrop cluster of this round, and we are gonna go into the very last one here on the very edge of the half cluster that we started with. So I'm gonna chain 3 and then double crochet into that very last stitch. And then per the pattern, this last teardrop just has 1 chain and then double crochet back into the very same stitch. So this is what we're looking at. And then for the next row, we're gonna do another 3 double crochets in here and then 7 in the rest of the clusters. So chain 3, and that counts as our first double crochet, and then turn the work and do 2 more inside of the teardrop. And then chain 3, or I'm sorry, single crochet into this chain 3 space. And then go in with the 7 double crochets and just repeat that until you get to the end. So just repeat that until you get to the end, and I will meet you back up here. Remember, this one, or this last teardrop, is only gonna have 3 double crochets in it. Okay, so I finished this round by putting 4 double crochets in the last teardrop, and then this is what I have so far. And for me, this is gonna be the last row that I do before I put in the braids. So if you want to keep increasing, then just make more rows like we've been doing, the like teardrops on top of each one, and then smaller ones on the ends, and then filling them in with the double crochets for as long as you want. And then for your last one, we are essentially gonna do the same thing, but I'm gonna chain 3 to start it, and then just go straight into, yeah, a double crochet on top of the next cluster. I'm gonna leave that space there for the braid to go into. And then 1, 2. And then a single crochet in, wait, no. And then again, we're just going to chain 3 and do the same thing, a teardrop in each of the next clusters. And then when you get to this second to last one, just chain 3 and attach it here. And then I'll meet up with you there. Okay, so this is what we have now. I did, after the last cluster, full one, I did my teardrop and then chain 3, and I slip stitched it into the very last stitch that was there from before. And so now we are going to turn the work, chain 1, and then I'm gonna do a single crochet in this chain 3 bridge area. And then I'm going to start into the teardrops, making clusters of 7 double crochets in each one. And then when I get to the last one, we will meet back up. So I just did my 7th double crochet into the last teardrop. So I am going to single crochet into the bridge. And then from here, I'm going to slip stitch into this stitch, which is the last slash first double crochet of the last little cluster seashell we did in 2 rows ago. So I'm just going to slip stitch there and chain 1 to fasten off, and then pull through a little bit, making sure it's tight. And then I'm gonna cut it. And so now we are gonna make the braids of the hat, which is gonna be the 2 like strings that you can tie the bonnet with. I'm gonna use one of these little scrap bundles of yarn, And basically you can make them as long or as thick as you want. You're just gonna have to use either more yarn or longer pieces. For me, I am working at a desk right now that I think is a pretty decent length. So it's basically a nightstand, so it's not very wide, but I'm just going to measure one side, and then since we're gonna like fold the yarn over, cut it. If you could see, one side is like this. It's like doubled over, and then the other side isn't. So it's one piece of hair, I guess, yarn, that is twice the length of the desk I'm working at. And that's just how I'm doing it. Okay, so I finished cutting the pieces of yarn to make the braid. I went ahead and did one. You can see I just attached it into the corner where we didn't put the last teardrop cluster, and then I'm gonna put the last one on the other corner. Okay, so it's gonna be this space right here. I had to try on the hat for a second to make sure. So it's super easy at this point. You just grab the yarn and pull it through so that it's halfway, so that there's half of it on each side. And then from there, just separate into 3 pieces, same way you would braid your hair. And then just braid it like normal. If you don't know how to braid, you basically just separate into 3 sections and then alternate putting each side in the middle. So here I have the 2 braids, and to fasten them off, I'm gonna use these little clear elastics and just tie them. Okay. Okay, and then I'm gonna use my scissors and trim some of this excess yarn. And then the last step is to tie in the loose ends. So I'm going to use my tapestry needle and just weave them in. This one's super easy. I'm just gonna weave it into the braid, which I honestly probably should have just braided it in, but whatever. Kind of hard to find places to sew in with this pattern, but I'm just trying to go into the clusters and like follow the stitches there to make it a little more camouflaged. And here's our finished bonnet. Hope you enjoyed making that, and I hope you enjoy wearing it. Thank you. Bye.